Okay, so in this video we're going to dive into trimming the sequences, getting them ready for reference mapping. So last time we left off we had done some QC reporting here that you could see in our workflow. What we're going to do is get rid of this supplemental report, the duplicated sequences. This report is being placed in its own QC folder, and that's about all that we're going to do with that. So let's move this over to the side. Okay, and what we want to do now is trim the reads. So remember, we have this prepare sequencing data over here, and there's a trim reads function on the left. The other way we could do is say add element, put in trim, and we could see trim reads here. So let's add trim reads. Once again, when you put a module up there, you could see everything in red, meaning that it isn't configured. So sequences have to be input, so we can drag the paired Illumina reads into the sequences. We can rename this trim paired Illumina reads, just to make it easy as things get more complicated. We don't have an adapter list. Things get trimmed out automatically with the Illumina and the FastQ generation. There is some configuration with trimmed paired Illumina reads here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to use the defaults for all of these steps, from the quality trimming to the adapter trimming and the homopolymer trimming and then the sequence filtering. You know, we could spend an hour probably on each one of these modules going through all the different parameters. But you know, once again, the main purpose of these videos is to get through the construction of this workflow so that you could start generating data, quality filtering, and sharing with GISA, GenBank, etc. But if you, on any one of these pages, once again, as we said before, you could hit help, and there's extensive details on all the parameters in these modules, algorithms that are used, you know, everything that you could want to know about this. And also the help menus that are in the modules is the most up-to-date information as well. Okay. So we're going to leave everything at default. And then, as we did last time, we're going to take a look at each of the outputs. So we're going to make this the only thing that we're really going to care about is potentially a report, but definitely the trimmed sequences. But let's see what each of these does when we run it. So here we have this workflow. Let's save it. We'll call this step 2. So we'll say save as. We're going to save it in workflows, and we're going to say step 2 trimming. Okay, so you can see we have a second step there. We have this in there. Validation is successful. Let's say run, and we'll grab the data that we know already, save, and we're going to save this results. Let's say new folder. Let's call this step 2 trimming. Finish. And this happens simultaneously, so you can see both of these lit up at the same time, and it's already finished. We can go into the output. You can see we have the QC output still from the QC sequencing reads, and then we have these 4 outputs from the trim paired Illumina reads. We have the discarded reads. These are going to be thrown away. There's a trim report that we can go in. It's similar to some of the statistics you'd see in FastQC, but it's giving statistics on, you know, how many reads there were input, how many were trimmed, etc. So this can be good QC information to look at. And there's trimmed orphans, and the main thing we're interested in is the trimmed pairs. And this is the trimmed clean data that we're going to use for our next step, which is the read mapping. So right now we'll leave this, and in the next step we're going to send the trimmed sequences into the reference mapping for SARS-CoV-2. Thanks.